Hi everyone, Abdi is talking for asART 3D and motion graphics. And today I would like to show you how you can render foam out of a Phoenix FD setup right in Vantage. For this, I just prepared a scene with the falling apple into a water tank, generating some foam, and this is actually it. So the apple is just animated manually, so when I go and uncheck this, this is just the apple animation, and it doesn't actually matter what animation you have. More important thing is we have some liquids generated and some foam. So for my liquid setup, it is pretty simple. I have added an edit mesh modifier on top of it in order to see that in Vantage, and this is actually covered in another tutorial. But here, just a quick recall, we go to the grid settings, and all I have is 6 million particles. I'm working in centimeters, by the way. So there's 6 million particles here. And for the dynamics, I set the step per frame to 2. We have an initial field of 63%, which fills up just the grid. And time scale is 0.5. So it is a little bit of a slow-mo. And we have the surface tension set to 0.03. Droplet formation is 0.01, and the droplet radius is set to 1, and everything else is actually not changed. So in our output, I just have nothing special but the backup interval set to 5, and then make sure you have the particle age and velocity activated, and set your cache folder. In the preview settings, we have to make sure that show mesh is activated, otherwise we won't see that in Vantage. And this is just important for the liquid, not for the foam setup. That doesn't help us with the foam, but in order to see the liquid in Vantage, we have to activate the show mesh here. And then just make sure in the render settings we have an ISO surface of 0.5 and the smoothness of 3, and I'm using the particle size of 0.45, but you can go and adjust them to your likes, and for the needs of your project. So now, after setting that up and after having the foam generated, we need tyFLOW. And if you're familiar with tyFLOW, that's fine, and if not, you can go and download it from tyflow.com, and the free version will actually do the job. It is not as fast as the pro version, but it will still do the good job for us. You can download it, install it, and after you have installed that, you can follow along with our tutorial here. So now I'm gonna go and create a tyFLOW simulation and just center that right away and open the editor. Here what I need is actually the birth fluid modifier. I'm going to select my Phoenix FD grid and set the animation length to my actual animation length here. Grid cells, we don't need temperature and smoke in this case. Threshold, we're gonna leave it the way it is. And for the grid particles, I'm gonna just activate foam with 100%. So next we need fluid force in order to push them around. And again, we go and select the Phoenix FD grid. We set the velocity magnitude to replace, velocity direction also to replace, and then scroll down to grid particles, make sure foam is activated. So this will push the particles. And here in our settings we have the foam also, so they go and work hand in hand. The next thing is adding a shape to our particles. Here we change it to 3D, and we can go and select a sphere low res in this case. So all the particles will be spheres, and then we go and add a scale modifier and I'm gonna set the size to 18 and the variation to 54. And again, these are values that are working. In this case, it might be that you have to change them for your simulation. So here the next thing would be adding a mesh operator here and changing the display from small dots to geometry. And this is pretty much all we need in order to generate foam with tyFLOW out of Phoenix FD Grid. So now let me set it to the end and run the simulation with tyFLOW. And there we go. Now we have our foams turned into meshes with a tyFLOW simulator. So I'm going to turn that off now and show you what it is in Vantage. This is what we see in Vantage right now without the tyFLOW, so just our normal animation with the liquid. And now when I turn on tyFLOW, you're gonna see the foam particles that has been generated. These are all these yellow particles that we can see. And this is a way how you can render your foam right in Vantage. The next step would be adding some materials to it. And for this, I'm going to Material Editor, right-click Material, V-Ray Material. And if you have installed the latest version of V-Ray, you can go to Preset and just scroll to the very bottom. And here is the soap bubble you can choose. And I'm going to select this, select my tyFLOW, and assign the material to that selection. And this is the result that we are getting with that material. Looks pretty cool. And if you go and render it out and do some color correction and some post-production, that will look awesome. So this is it for today. I hope that tutorial is useful to you, and I'm wishing you a great and successful day. Bye-bye.